We start on Gran Turismo 3 with what I think is one of the best Easter eggs in the entire series. Also, thanks to BK4 for letting me know about this one. This Easter egg can be seen at Tokyo Route 246 near the starting grid. Look out for this tall white building, which is actually Honda's headquarters in Japan. Outside it, you'll see several well-known Honda cars all arranged in a semicircle, including a Gran Turismo favourite, the Honda NSX. However, if you look a little further, you'll see what kind of looks like an astronaut near the doors into the office. Well, this is actually Asimo, the famous Honda humanoid robot which was originally created back in the year 2000. You can also see Asimo on Gran Turismo 4 and Gran Turismo on the PSP. Sticking with Gran Turismo 3, we're going to revisit a car that appeared in my original 20 Best Easter Eggs video, the F687S, inspired by Ayrton Senna's Lotus 99T from 1987. Look to the rear part of the car and you'll see text that reads "Powered by Ikeuo." This is a reference to the badge on the real-life Lotus 99T, which read "Powered by Honda." The 99T was actually Lotus's first Honda-powered car, after previously using Renault engines from 1983 until 1986. But who or what is Ikeuo? Well, Ikeuo refers to Seiichi Ikeuo, one of Gran Turismo's main programmers. According to Moby Games, he worked on the series from the original Gran Turismo in 1997 right up until Gran Turismo 6 in 2013. Moving onwards, we turn our attention to Gran Turismo 4. Making its debut in this game was the Nike 1 2022. A concept car which is often seen as the precursor to the series of concept cars we now know as Vision Gran Turismo. The creator of this original Gran Turismo concept car certainly left his maker's mark on it. On the body of the car, you can see several lines of Morse code. When deciphered, it reads www.philfrank.com, the website of the car's designer. There is also Morse code visible on the inside of all four tyres that reads PFD when mirrored, which stands for Phil Frank Design. Another Easter egg on Gran Turismo 4, this time at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which made its debut in GT4. As you come up to the start-finish straight, take a look beyond the track's boundaries and you'll see the Nürburgring GP circuit, which has often been used as part of the Formula 1 World Championship. The circuit would eventually make its debut in Gran Turismo 5, while the GP circuit and the Nordschleife can actually join to form a single track, the Nürburgring 24-hour circuit, which also debuted in Gran Turismo 5. Moving from Germany to Italy, we come now to the Costa di Amalfi circuit. Reminiscent of those creepy faces on Trial Mountain on Gran Turismo 5, if you come to this point on the circuit, you can see another weird creepy set of faces. Is this a result of mirrored textures, or is it perhaps more likely to be a case of pareidolia? I'll let you guys make your own minds up about this one. Next up is a little Easter egg on Tahiti Maze, a staple rally track which appeared in 5 different titles in the Gran Turismo series. On Gran Turismo 4, if you keep an eye out in the skies, you may see several fighter jets flying above the circuit. Due to the game's brand new photo mode at that time, we can get a closer look at what these fighter jets look like. Keep an eye out for them next time you're doing a lap at Tahiti Maze. This Easter egg brings us to Suzuka in Japan, first of all at least. Coming down to the Casio Triangle chicane from the fast 130R left-hander, you can see a Konami advertising board above the track. Now, this isn't the only rival video game company or game seen in the Gran Turismo series. In fact, the next one is located just down the road, literally. Along the start-finish straight, if you look over towards the pits, you'll see advertising for Auto Modelista. This one is particularly surprising as Auto Modelista could be considered a direct competitor of Gran Turismo 4, although it was released 2 years earlier. There is another case of this Easter egg on Gran Turismo 6, where, on Fuji Speedway, you can see an advert for Sonic the Hedgehog on the start-finish straight. And on Gran Turismo Sport, you can even see an advert for iRacing on Suzuka. Another surprising inclusion, seeing as iRacing is a big competitor to Gran Turismo in the sim racing genre. Kudos to Gran Turismo's creators for adding it in. Everyone loves birthday presents, right? Well, so do the creators of Gran Turismo. In fact, they specifically love giving presents. On Gran Turismo 5, if you logged into the PlayStation Network and GT mode on your birthday, you would receive a car from your birth year as a present. A similar egg was present in Gran Turismo 6 too, with the only difference being that the car awarded wouldn't necessarily be from your birth year, just a year close to that. Sadly, with the termination of the online services of Gran Turismo 5 and 6, this feature is no longer available. Luckily though, this Easter egg is still present on Gran Turismo Sport, so you can at least get a birthday present on that game. The High-End Performance G37 is a tuned version of the Infinity G37, and first appeared in Gran Turismo 5 before going on to also appear in the sequel, Gran Turismo 6. On Gran Turismo 5, however, if you activate the cockpit view and the rear view camera together, you'll see an Easter egg which would otherwise remain hidden to the player. And that Easter egg is a Sony PlayStation 3 console in the back of the car. This next Easter egg requires us to revisit the Honda building on Tokyo R246. By now on Gran Turismo 5, Asimo and the collection of Honda cars has sadly since disappeared, but has been replaced with a brand new Easter egg instead. Grab any Honda car from your garage and head out for a drive around Route 246. Enter photo mode and take a picture of your Honda outside the Honda building, and you'll receive the trophy Take Your Honda Home. Aww. Remember the picture exclusive trophy from the first video? Well, it turns out that there's a very similar trophy in the game as well. Enter photo mode and choose the Marktgasse location in Bern, Switzerland. Look for a woman in a jacket talking on her phone, sitting on a bench. If you take a photo of her, you'll be awarded with the trophy Portraitist. Well, who is this woman? Sadly, I'm not sure of the answer to that. But one thing we do know is that she also appears as one of your pit crew who inspect your car after passing a license test. Weird, eh? Gran Turismo 5 had a strong connection with Top Gear, the original British TV show, including numerous special events being held at the Top Gear test track. But that wasn't where the Top Gear references finished. In fact, you could make your driver look just like Top Gear's resident racing driver, the Stig. Some say that you need to equip the Simpson Diamondback helmet, and that you also need to equip the Alpine Stars GP1 racing suit, and that both of these items should be coloured white to dress like the Stig we all know and love, or coloured black to represent the original Top Gear Stig. All we know is you'll have to have the Racing Gear pack downloaded from the PlayStation Store. Sadly though, all the DLC for Gran Turismo 5 has since been removed from the PlayStation Store. So if you don't have the Racing Gear pack now, sadly, you've missed the boat. This is perhaps my favourite Easter egg across both videos I've done so far, and it can be found on Special Stage Route X. A short way past the start line, you come up to a bridge that passes over and above the racetrack. Look a little bit further ahead and over to the left, and you'll see what looks like a second layout that goes around and up to that same bridge. You can also see another section of this track towards the end of the lap. Look how banked that corner is too. It looks like something straight out of F-Zero, or perhaps a Hot Wheels toy track, or even a real-life test track, past and present, such as those used by Audi and Mercedes. So what's the deal with this track, and where does it go beyond what we can see from the normal track layout? Well, there are at least a couple of theories about the track's existence. Some people theorise it was created for devs to test the suction on the Red Bull X2010, while others say that it was a track which was going to be made playable at some point, but sadly never did. Interestingly, there was also a shot of a section of this course seen in the trailer for the Acura NSX, which debuted in January 2013. It showed a tunnel section of SSRX, which hints that part of this alternate route goes underground. With Special Stage Route X recently being added to Gran Turismo Sport at the time of recording this video, will we ever get to drive this epic second layout? Or will it remain as part of the track's scenery as a memory to what could have been? This, I think, is perhaps one of the best Easter eggs in the series. And that's because it's an Easter egg that extends from Gran Turismo into real life. The Mercedes-Benz AMG Vision Gran Turismo was first seen in Gran Turismo 6, but returns in Gran Turismo Sport. Upon receiving the car as a gift and taking it out on track, we can now take a closer look at the finer details of this model. Take a look inside the headlights and you'll see 4 small, familiar icons, the buttons from the PlayStation controller. This concept car was also made by Mercedes-Benz in real life, and guess what? Yes, the PlayStation buttons were recreated on the actual car. If you ever see it exhibited anywhere in the world, make sure you get to the front of the queue for a closer look. Next up is one of those obscure trophy Easter eggs like the Take Your Honda Home trophy on Gran Turismo 5. This time our quest brings us to Mount Panorama, better known as Bathurst by racing fans. When you come down to the final corner before the start-finish straight, ignore the left-hand turn and instead go right down the escape road. Surprisingly, you can actually venture quite far down this little section of the track, and situated just behind this set of white tyres and an Armco is a small stack of blue tyres. Knock them over and you'll receive the Hidden Gem trophy. How random. Now, this is another of my personal favourite Easter eggs in the series. On Gran Turismo 6, there's an abundance of Mazda MX-5s, which are better known as the Miata in North America. Should you look at them in the Mazda dealership, they look pretty ordinary. However, if you were to go and paint the body of your Mazda, you will reveal some awesome hidden stripes. Imagine that. If you never painted one, you'd have no idea that these even existed at all. And the best thing about this Easter egg is that every classic MX-5 and Miata has its own unique stripes. Only the Unos Roadster models are exempt. Let's take a look at all of them together. Gran Turismo 6 gave us a host of new cars to play with, one of which is the Tesla Model S, which also returns in Gran Turismo Sport. Next time you're driving the Model S, switch to the cockpit view and you just might spot a little Easter egg. Take a look at the center console. Its web browser is open and the website it's displaying is actually the official Gran Turismo website. This has been updated in Gran Turismo Sport. It's still the same Gran Turismo website, but a more modern version, which reflects the fact that we're playing a newer game. Sardinia is a brand new original track first seen in Gran Turismo Sport. It has several different layouts, but the one that we're interested in is the Road Track A course. Drive around the track until you come up to the section with the church outside the track's limits. If you park your car here rather than carrying on round to continue your lap, you can actually hear the church bells ringing. A nice little touch from the game's creators. This next Easter egg can be seen on the Renault Sport Megane Group 4, and possibly on at least one other car in the game, so I've heard. Take your Megane out somewhere which will allow you to take a close look at it. Could be Escape's location, could simply be a replay. Have a look in the cockpit and you can see what looks like some kind of action camera, a bit like a GoPro. Now, this Easter egg could have been placed here because it's pretty common for drivers to have a camera inside their cars now, when they're attending track days, you know, to upload their footage to YouTube once they're finished. But why the Megane in particular? Well, that I don't know. The attention to detail with GT Sport's cars and tracks is astounding, and it's perhaps most evident on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, where every single bit of graffiti from the real-life track has been replicated in the game, at least at the time of its release. However, with this attention to detail comes a funny little Easter egg. Now, since it's such a large track, there's bound to be a load of hilarious graffiti messages, but the best one that I know of is located at the famous Brunchen section of track. You know, the bit where spectators camp out to film people who accidentally crash their cars into the Armco and through the gravel track, to ultimately end up in a YouTube compilation. Yeah, that bit. Anyway, the graffiti here reads effing awesome. I thought this game had a PEGI 3 rating. And on that very small bombshell, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you for part 3 sometime in the future.